And we are live, Eric and Linda, live from Workvine 209. We'd like to welcome everybody today to our show. I'm Eric.
And I'm Linda. Thank you again for joining us today live from Workvine 209. We're out here in Tracy, California. In our pivot, we are interviewing different local or non-local business owners,
Yes.
business-minded people to help you listeners out there with your business. And so right now we have a co-working space, and like I said, we're out here in Tracy doing different things. We have other people in the office, so you may hear some background noise. But thank you guys for joining us, and we have a phenomenal guy that's going to be interviewed today by Eric and I am so excited to have him on the show. Eric is going to introduce him.
Yeah, this gentleman, we've met him a few years back, and he is phenomenal. He has a great story for you. He's overcome a lot of challenges. He's doing a lot of different things in the community, and I just can't wait to have him on. And so we like to go ahead and welcome Ben Sanchez. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So, share with our listeners a little bit about your story when you were younger, because that kind of, is something that really inspires me, because some people have different obstacles and challenges in their lives that, stop them from reaching some of their goals. And so share your story with them.
Yeah. So probably when I was about 5, we kind of discovered a few things. My mom kind of noticed some things about my actions and how I was approaching things visually. And so we did some testing, and I would go to, I think it was St. Joe's or Dameron, somewhere locally in Stockton, and we do a lot of different tests. And we found out with my eye doctor as well, we found out that I would have no vision in my left eye. It's a nerve ending that attaches to the back, and it's undeveloped. So because of that, there is no, it's kind of like look at it as, or think about it in a way like there's no plug to the TV, so to speak. So you're not getting your visual. So once we kind of discovered that, we did several different things over the course of those years when I was a child, and it's just something that you deal with and you develop and you adapt. You really have to adapt. And yeah, it's a challenge that I always have to overcome every day, and even in the workplace as well, because when you're going into those interviews and you're talking to people and filling out all that information, I do have a disability, so that has to be noted for them, and they have to make that decision based on our conversations. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, but it's been one that you continue just to get up and keep going and say, like, how am I going to approach things today, or how can I adapt to certain things? That's why I have to wear glasses. We're trying to protect our other asset, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the key things. I cannot wear contacts at all. But that's kind of the quick Cliff Notes version of that. And yeah, so it's been very cool to kind of navigate through life with that, so to speak. But I've done a lot, and I've accomplished. I sometimes you don't think about the things you accomplish, and you don't really think about it because it's something you live with every day. How did I do this, or how did I do that? How did I go to college, or how did I ride a bike, or I did swimming when I was really young for a long time. How did I do that? I have no idea. But I was able to do it. Aikido as well. I think my mom had me in Aikido when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yes, those are kind of cool things. Like you're scared for sure, but that's just always going to be there. So you have to take it one step at a time.
Absolutely. That has not stopped you, and you just keep on doing you, and you have accomplished a lot of things, and you know that it didn't let you that doesn't hold you back from being the Ben that you are, right? And
Yeah.
so I really applaud you for, just doing,
Adapting and
yeah,
overcoming.
absolutely.
So yeah, as an entrepreneur, we all have to adapt and overcome different obstacles and challenges, right? I mean, and you were able to do it, and so I think that motivates others who have different challenges and roadblocks in their way. And man, I'm just like kind of, because let me shift for a quick second, because I was looking at some of your art, right? And you're an artist. I mean, you do so many things as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and you're an artist. And so how did that kind of get started? I know you've overcame the visual challenges,
Mhm.
but share about a little bit about your art.
Um, I think we discovered art, or my interest in it, when I was about 7 or 8. Um, so I had already been kind of sort of adapting to this disability, um, and I had to wear this patch over my good eye for a while. I don't know what we were trying to do or what the doctor was thinking it was going to do. So I kind of joke around with people. I tell them I was a pirate for a good portion of my childhood, which is kind of funny now I look back at it, because you're doing, like, when you're a kid, you're doing so many activities in school, like physical activities, like tetherball or dodgeball, or all these different things, and it really has an effect on you, on how you can uh, participate in those. Like, baseball was one that was very difficult. Soccer was also, a lot of those things are difficult. And so I think at some point, um, I was really into games. We were a real poor family, and my godparents had a swimming pool I would use for practice, for swimming. I would do lessons, and I would sometimes go over there to practice and just to swim. And they had a Nintendo.
Hmm.
Nintendo had been out for maybe 4 years at that point or so. Not many people I knew had them, but I really gravitated to that. And then somehow I feel like games and art kind of interweave for me at the same time, because then I was in some programs for kids that were like just to creative stuff. Like, it was kind of cool. They had all these, I don't know what it was, but they had all this stuff, all these tools and resources. And so they had, coloring pencils, and, all kinds of paper and rulers, and just all the things that you would want to be kind of crafty and creative. So I took paper and pencil and color pencils, and just I drew what I knew, which was games, and I drew like characters like Sonic and Mario. And I started there about, I was about 8 years old. And yeah, I went through that whole process, and I drew in high school. I was really heavily influenced in manga and animation,
Wow.
um, because that I probably had seen, and when I was a teenager, I had been exposed to something like that, somewhere. Like, a friend in high school or something had some video tapes or something, and we watched some. And I didn't know anything about Japan or what they were doing, or the things that they were going to create, which are so influential to us today here in America and in art as well. So yeah, I really kind of jumped off from there, but also that wasn't really the plan. Um, I wanted to study a little bit of art in college, but I had other plans of doing something else, like this computer science or something. And so I'm really self-taught. I didn't learn or take any courses. I took an art history course, which was very cool, and I took a very basic drawing course at Delta College, but nothing, and it was all just practice. I just picked up pencils, I grabbed paper when I can. I draw on this really awkward kind of paper. My grandmother couldn't afford like the paper, and she had this orange kind of like paper. It just didn't work for pencils, but I just kept at it and kept doing it, and I would draw in like my notes, binder paper, the little, we're supposed to use those for school, but I would just draw little doodles and stuff in them. And
Nice.
yeah, so, but of course, with all the cool stuff with that, there's also a lot of trauma with that. You're getting bullied, you're getting ridiculed by peers and teachers, and I was suspended for my art, for what I drew, and for what it was. So a lot of that had to do with me dropping art. So I haven't done any art since 2009. So what you're seeing now is really just me getting the ring rusts kind of off, and getting back into it. So about like last year, 2019, I really started to go every year. And actually, it's kind of interesting. I could tie this into entrepreneurs. When I left college and I met startups and I learned about co-working spaces, which was around 2016 or 2017, I started to do art a little bit. I don't know what it was, but I think it was just entrepreneurs have this really different approach to thinking. And it really kind of sparked me creatively. So when we would work on things that had to do with startups, I would just be sketching stuff like logo concepts, and I think it really pushed me back into art. And I think, honestly, I could tell people I don't think art ever left me. I think I left it for a while,
Yeah.
but it came back, and it's been great. It's for now, for what we go through. I tell people it's a great way to kind of balance your day, or your mental, um, kind of thought process. And even for kids, I would push that for kids as well. Like, we have a place that's in Stockton called the Catalyst. It's arts and health. Um, so it was started by, I guess I'll plug them, but it was started by a couple, and she does therapy, family therapy, and marriage counseling, uh,
Mm.
and her husband is an artist in mixed media. So they do a lot of cool stuff in the community. Of course, it's very limited in what they can do with COVID, but they are very active in the community and trying to get supplies and things like that to kids that can't get them. You're so used to going to school and having these supplies. Now you're at home learning, and so they're trying to find a way to get those supplies to kids that still want to do art.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's really good.
It's like therapy for you. I would love to have some of your art pieces displayed here at Workvine.
I have one.
That would be so awesome.
I think
Are
I,
you do you
I have
sell
one.
your art?
I think I have one framed. No, I don't sell it. So the plan was, and I didn't tell a lot of people. I had this thought back last year when I was doing art a lot more. I would do tattoo designs. I was just doing anything and everything to do art, and I think I had come by Work by Vine a few times. So there were talks probably about just giving you guys some art, and I had it, and then COVID happened and all this stuff happened, and I just haven't gotten out there. But yeah, I had it, and I put it in a frame. And Poppy Coffee, another great local place that's in town, had wanted a piece too. But it's just kind of like, everything, just we're trying to figure all this stuff out, and with everything that's happened in 2020. So it kind of got pushed back. I'm still doing a lot of art, and no, I didn't sell it, or I haven't sold a piece. But the idea was to come up with an artist name. If I'm going to take this serious and do this as something that I really want to do, I'm very passionate about. I have a very strong belief for it, and I've connected with a lot of great local artists who have been very supportive in the craft and what I do, and vice versa. Just maybe there will be collaborations down the road. I don't know, but for me, it's just trying to get better at what I'm doing and trying to experiment and challenge myself. So I had a plan that I kind of put together that I would say before all this, COVID 2020, I was like, okay, I'm going to create a logo. I'm going to buy a website domain. I'm going to start an Instagram that's art focused. I'm going to pick a name for myself as an artist, and I'm going to go and and I did. I pulled the trigger, and now we're over 100 followers 6 months in on an Instagram with no paid. Yeah, I haven't put any investment in. The only investment I've put into art is my tools, my
Hmm.
paper and pencils and all those things that go along with it. So But the plan, yes, I'm sure down the road was if once the brand, that artist brand expands and people are more interested in buying work, yeah, then I would have to start pricing work and figuring that side of things out as an entrepreneur and to say, okay, what do I need to do just to do a pricing model or to ship things and figure all those things out. So yeah, it was part of that thought process in the box, but we just did it one step at a time, and art events were something I was going to do this year. So we can't do that. So basically I still practice and I still do something every day with art, a little something. And then I just tell people maybe do a little goal for yourself. I tell that to students in writing. Write something, a little something. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to get creative and do some poetry, write a little bit, a line, a couple lines. Write an email to somebody. Write an email maybe you intended to send, but you're not going to send. Every little bit of that helps. It doesn't matter how much you do it as long as you do a little bit every day. You don't have to do like a huge thing, but for businesses, practice your mission statement. Write a little bit. What is it that you want to do in your business? Because your mission statements it's going to change every couple of months, every year. It's going to change, and if you can practice that and know your mission and know what you're really strongly, you know, feel for your work, whether it's my friends Terra Coffee, they make amazing coffee roasted right out of their home. He's
Wow.
super passionate about it. So what is that you're passionate for? Try and put that into words as simple as you can, and maybe it'll expand and your story will expand. And so there's a lot of kind of tips that I give to students, and they apply to small business owners and entrepreneurs as well. But that's something that I try and practice. I mean, you're never going to get it right because life is hectic or things happen. But if you can really just do a little something every day, just give yourself smaller goals. um, and then the bigger projects that I work on, all of those little goals help with the bigger things. So if there's an art project that I really want to do, let's focus on, those little sketches and doodles help me warm up to get to a place and to have some energy where I can say, all right, now I feel good to where I want to start working on this bigger project. Or if you're an artist that is making money, then it'll help you with murals and other things. And so yeah, it's cool. It's been a great process and a great ride, and um, I love art, so that's not going to change, and I'm still going to create as much as I possibly can. And if people want it up on their wall, I'm super thankful for that.
Yeah.
I think it would. I hear two things. I hear teaching an art class because I have two good eyes and I am not artistic. I could say that for him too because he's not artistic either. But I hear a teacher in you, and to teach art to people like me. I mean, I would take it. It sounds like a fun class, and teaching like a creative writing class. I mean. Um, in business.
Hmm.
We could do some classes on that, or we could do it online. If we don't have to have people here, we would love to help you do that. It's a hint. Like I really need an
Yeah.
art class, and I really need a
Yeah.
creative
Yeah.
writing class. So hopefully you can invest in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have we were actually gonna do it there. I was part of the chamber last year, and we had planned on doing something that was a PR kind of presentation and a couple of small exercises that would help entrepreneurs. Now, I still have the program and I still have the PowerPoint and the notes and everything, so I can still do it to kind of give small business owners and entrepreneurs and you guys a little bit of what my fundamentals are. Every PR professional is a little different. I would hope that the ethical and professional PR people are all kind of in the same mindset. We're following the same fundamentals, but every toolbox is different. Like my professor said, you're going to fill it with different things that work for you. And they worked. They worked for me, and they worked for a lot of people in San Joaquin County. I've written mission statements for people, like I say, Terra Coffee. We wrote some little things, and it's really, I think my process is more of what's your process. Like you have to collaborate creatively to make something work. It can't be one sided or the other. give you some advice and things that'll help you, but ultimately it has to come from you. And so when we create all this content, it really comes from the entrepreneur. I think maybe I'm just helping them pull out,
Yeah.
something that wasn't there creatively. So yeah, the writing thing for sure is doable. The art thing, my process is all over the place. And I'm actually learning from a lot of local artists too. I can, I've met so many cool people through Instagram. Daniel, he is local. He's super cool. He does prints. I've talked to him a few times, and he's incredible dude. That's local, and does these print blocks, and it's incredibly detailed. And then he shows you the process of how he's done it and printed it. I've met Alicia Valenzuela, she's not local, but she's done a lot of work here. Who's an amazing painter, and she's really helped me in my drawing as far as shading. My shading's really improved. Different tools that I could use to help improve shading. So she's really helped push me in a direction where you're pushing your skill to another level.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with a pencil, but what you do with it and how you do it, you're going to need more than just a pencil. So yeah, and I've done some videos on my Instagram, like with tools that I use that I recommend. So, and maybe one day I'll branch out into painting, or maybe I'll do something else, or
Bring some by, man. We'd love to have it there. I just put your Instagram in the chat so people can view it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about PR. I think that's a great segue to talk about what you do for Comstock Magazine. You're the PR guy that's giving them information, that you have articles out there in Comstock. So share a little bit about Comstock and how that inspires you.
Well, yeah, Comstock is journalism. I don't do much PR for them, but I am doing essentially. I am pitching and doing PR for the business. So sometimes those businesses don't. I'll reach out to them to say, "Hey, I think this might be a good story," or sometimes I won't, and I'll just do it. Something just comes to mind, like a couple of months ago. I was talking to a friend of mine. I guess I'll plug it. Chris Kay. He's a good friend of mine from UOP. He is now the president of the Greater Stockton Chamber, but he has a small business called Carter Imports. And I actually got a pitch of his to get him in the magazine as one of these 10 young professionals. So that was really cool. But before his story, I was talking to another young entrepreneur, and she's doing produce in a box, and you can pick it up every week, and she'll fill it with different things based on the whatever kind of box you're getting. And so I just thought about her one day, and I wrote a pitch, and then I told her later, and we actually got the pitch. And so she was a story a couple months back. And so that was really my goal with Comstock, is as a journalist and a writer to push Stockton small business as much as we can. We're just going to keep throwing stuff until it sticks. And I've been fortunate enough that they've liked, I've almost wrote about a story a month for them and it'll be a year here since I've been with them. How I got started with Comstocks is an interesting story. They did ask me last year how I found out about the job or why. And maybe this story will be helpful for people, but I was writing for several publications out of college when I got my master's. So I wrote for the Asian Pacific Review. I was pro bono. There was no money there, just to write stuff. Like I said before, you just need to write stuff. So you got to write pro bono stuff. It's just good practice for you, and it's good for the portfolio. And even if you do get paid for something, put your best effort in. If it's $5, if it's $20, do your best, because you're getting paid for that regardless. You're getting some money out of it. I also wrote for the Stockton Record, which is local here, but I wrote for a specialty publication within the Record called The Current Magazine. It's no longer in print. I have a friend, Leah Myers, who is also a UP alumni, a good friend of mine. She works in Sacramento at the the Department of Health, and she wrote for them back then, and she suggested, "Oh, I think you'd be good for you to write." So I talked to the editor, and I wrote for a year before the publication went out, and then also the Business Journal that was also now closed down. They were here in Stockton as well, and I got to write for them. So all of that kind of led up to Comstock. So that whole time I was writing for these year after year, I was knocking on Comstock's door. Like I would email and I would send them an email like, hey, like, yeah, I've got some articles or things like that. What can I do to start writing for you? I can't say it was really a dream of mine, but it was kind of a dream of mine to write for them because it was a big publication in Sacramento. And I was always curious as to what they were covering and how they were covering things. And so I never heard anything. And another year goes by, and I would send emails and nothing, and I didn't hear anything. Last year, in the summer, I saw something about writers, or they were looking for contributing writers, and I almost gave up, and I just kind of threw an email out there, thinking, all right, I've emailed these guys enough, I've probably bugged them enough. But I threw in that email and I added some editors on the chain email, and I got a response from an editor, and they were two cool people. Matt Keys, who's no longer with them, he was always super cool with me. He was the web editor at the time. He was really cool working with him and collaborating with him and how to do a web story and what he's looking for and what we're trying to put together. Because really, I do a portion of most of the work, but there's a team behind that and they ask questions or they look for things and they copy edit and they do more because they're not freelance, they're actually employed there. And they said, yeah, give us a pitch and we'll see what happens. So I went to look for a pitch in Stockton, and I'll throw his name out there because he really helped in our collaborative process get this. And so Jim Boy Rabinal, who owns he's the owner of the Yosemite Meat Market in Stockton, California, which is it's been there forever. It's easily over 90 some odd years old. And so he's the third owner, and he's got an interesting story, but that's on Comstocks. Everybody can read it. He initially didn't want to do it. And I says, I think your story is cool, and I think we can get it. And we got it. And that's how I started working for Comstock. They took it, and they offered me a contract, and so they gave me a contract to write for them as a freelance. And so, yeah.
Persistence.
So anybody that sometimes may think like, I don't know, just take the risk. I mean, just do it. You got nothing to lose. Throw it out there. You may get the job. And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Keep the persistent going. Wow, that's really good, man. That's a really good story. And I think that really helps, persistence for those entrepreneurs who want to start something. I mean, you said a lot, just one sentence at a time. If you want to become a writer, just write a little bit, right? I mean, you don't have to bite it all off at one time. Take your time, be persistent, be consistent, and you can overcome any obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really can. And, I've learned a lot from entrepreneurs here and startups. Like I say, 4 or 5 years ago, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about startups or co-op spaces or any of that. And I was looking for a job. I could never find one. I took a job with a startup, and it wasn't what I thought it was. They couldn't pay me. We were super bootstrapped. And, a lot of my life, a lot of people just were against what I was going to do. Like, why are you going back to college? I was like 27 when I went back to college. Why are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Because I was in a dead-end job in IT, and I didn't really like my work. And I was going to throw it all away. I had a full-time job. I had benefits and everything, and it was my first year, and they really liked me, and they wanted me to keep. They were going to give me a promotion and give me a raise. And I don't know. For some reason, there was someone in my life that was super impactful, but we didn't have the best relationship. But I would say that point in my life, I went back to school, and I don't regret it. And that college experience led me out to back to the real world, and then to entrepreneurs, and we weren't making anything. And but that experience to me is invaluable. I learned so much. Like, I built so many relationships because in the end, people saw what I could do or what I could write, and then they started paying me for it. They had a little bit of money left, or I had like somebody that ran a bakery, and she fed me like every day. For everything that I would write, I get a meal. So I can't say that was so like hands-on experience was the best I've ever had. It was better than any internship I've ever been in, is being in the co-working space and being with entrepreneurs, because you're in the thick of it with them.
Yes. That's really good, Ben. As we wrap this thing up, how can you help other entrepreneurs become successful, or what can you do to help them from your experiences?
Um, well, I know a lot about PR, and that's something that a lot of people don't. Building relationships is really important. Your ethics, never sacrifice them. Learn what they are, learn what your beliefs are. All of those are core to what you're building as a business. And if you believe strongly for them and you set those fundamentals, you want to find people who have the same. You don't want to hire people that aren't going to believe what you've set up in your mission statement and the things that you look for in your business. That's not going to work. You're going to have people that are going to leave you, or something's going to happen, and there's going to be some tension. So I think that the key fundamentals of PR are going to be cool. Like, if I talk about them, they would be good. I do content writing, so if you guys get stuck on writing, I can help you out there with things, and we can talk about. It's kind of more consulting. Like I say, I've helped out a lot of people. I know she's not doing it anymore, but Taylor um, Coswick, Cozy Candles. I don't think she does. She's not doing it now, but she was an up and comer, and she had a candle thing for a year out of Manteca. So I've been there. I've sat with them, and I think the key thing for me is just listening. You just have to understand. You have to listen to that side of things and what the entrepreneurs struggling with or what they're going through. I actually, with the startups, I was more than a content writer. I was kind of like an advisor. And that really is what a PR person is. Like, I'd get phone calls at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. about things that people were stressed out about in their life or other things. And so if you're in that position to do PR for someone in a small business, you're really there to keep them level headed, to keep them on track, but also to be behind them too, because there's a lot of people that are going to tell you no, and don't listen to that. The more people tell you no, the more an entrepreneur is going to do it. And I think that's the best motivator ever. Like, I've been with people that have been told no, and I've been told no, and I still did it. I still knocked on doors. I still went to do that. I mean, I had a year ago, I had a fly. I did some graphic design, and I had a flyer that I didn't think would be was part of Contra Costa's in the Tri-Valley area for this event. They were talking about hiring people with disabilities. That's why I actually partook in that. Employers weren't looking in that direction. They weren't looking at people with disabilities, but they have the skill sets to do them. So I designed the flyer for that, and it became like this whole part of the program, and it was on every table. And it was so weird to see like my flyer design in this room of like 300 people, and all these important people that were looking at data and helping disabled people, and telling the community, like, this is where employers and entrepreneurs and startups should look. They have skills too. So that was super cool for me. So yeah, I didn't think that any of that stuff would be possible, but yeah, I mean, I think those are key things. Just talking, understanding, being curious too. Ask those questions. If you don't know, it's okay. Like, if you don't know as an entrepreneur, it's okay to ask.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah,
Good.
that stuck with me, that no thing. I remember a long time ago, I wanted to paint my bathroom, and Eric was like, no, you can't do it. And so I went to Home Depot, I picked out the paint, and I painted that bathroom. And I always like that challenge. When someone tells me no, I think that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because I really don't take no for an answer. I really like, I'll knock on the door again and ask and keep on asking, or I'll, you know, do what I need to do to prove them wrong, like him over there. But
Yeah.
anyways, you know what? I really enjoyed this interview with you. You're such an inspirational person. And, you know, if you are out there and you need some help with writing, or help with PR, or, you know, have some questions about art, give Ben a call. And you know what? He has a LinkedIn too.
Yeah, his LinkedIn and his website and
Mhm.
everything is in the chat. So if you want to reach out to him, just reach out to them with any of those links that are there, and I guarantee you he'll get back to you.
Mhm. And super quick, I got to plug it because it's a new startup that I'm working for. Or you know, we're doing pro bono. You know, we're equity, sweat equity is what we like.
Right.
Strangehive.com. Really, we're here to help you with the design part. If you're thinking about starting a business, or your web design is just not where it's supposed to be, or you don't know it, we'll get it. Like, we do everything and anything behind the hood. Don't go. A lot of people like to go to GoDaddy or somewhere else, and I'm finding a lot of clients that are coming through saying like, GoDaddy's charging me all this stuff if I add on this, this, and this, and this. And we have payment plans. So I mean, look at it as your website as an investment. Whether you're just doing a multi-page or you're doing an e-commerce, it's an investment altogether, and that's what I tell clients, and that's what we do. I work with the best coder in the Central Valley, bar none. There's no one better than him, and we're responsive. You know, like every month we host you. It's secure, it's fast, it's accessible. People can, you know, look you up on your phone, tablet, whatever. I think that's what's cool about this company, is that it's really focused on the web design, and that's what people really need right now. That's key, is to have your website set up, have it look good, short and concise, and have some pictures and some visual, because that's all going to help you with your brand.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would highly recommend investing money in people that can do a website. I remember I was trying to do a website for our real estate business, and I just want to sell real estate. I don't know how to put up a website. And so we actually, this guy is my web tech guy,
There you
Eric.
go.
And he did it, but I just, it's, not for me. So I mean, if you don't have somebody in your circle, definitely invest in somebody that can do your website. And it is the first, like, everything's digital and everything's online, and you want your first impression to be impressionable. And so you want to invest in, your website and your digital appearance. So
Yeah, and it's local talent, right? It's local in the Central Valley, so I always tell people, like, you're investing your dollars not in yourself and in your brand, but in other local community people that have the skills. You're, as an entrepreneur, you're not going to know it all. You're gonna, like, that's what I learned the most. Sure, I was a writer, but I had no web design skill. And you can learn from so many people. I've learned so much, and I think the main connection, I guess we'll circle it back to art. We were all artists in that startup. We all creatively were in our art space. He's in the code space. That's an art. Takes somebody to do that, so a certain skill set. Yeah, I had a videographer, and she's fantastic, out of Seattle, and she does phenomenal work. She does painting too. So we all learned from each other a little bit. I learned a little bit of filming from her, and don't be afraid to ask that too as an entrepreneur. You may find a great team and build a great team, but it's okay to say, "Hey, can you show me a few things?" And because you still want to learn too, and you want to grow, and I think that's the most important thing, right? In business and entrepreneurs, you got to grow.
Gotta grow. That's good. All right. Well, thank you, Ben, for being part of our show. Some really good information. I think we're going to have you over here soon to help us with some content writing,
yes.
and we'll definitely get on a call or a Zoom meeting to share some of our ideas and the things that we're working on. But we really appreciate your time. We will be back on Tuesday. Our weekly live events are every Tuesday and Thursdays. So thank you, Ben. Man, I appreciate everything you said, everything you're doing out there, helping the community. And so everybody out there, have a great day, and we'll